Hi folks, I'm Matt and welcome to my top 100 vintage board games of all time, the 2020 edition. You waited long enough for this? All right, so let's go through my top 90. At number 90 is Tank Battle. And Tank Battle, it's a two-player game where it's kind of like Battleship. An opponent has 6 moves. They can move 1 tank 6 spaces, or 2 tanks 3 spaces each, or, with 6 tanks 1 space each, or however they want to use those move spaces. But before they do, on your secret player board, you're putting down a few guesses, several guesses on where they may play. And if they land on those squares, if you called your shot, you blew up those tanks, and it's your turn to play. This game is really a lot of fun. There's a lot of other aspects to it too that really make it a really great strategy game. Absolutely love the game. Super fun. Got to play it this year with the missus, and she hated it. So probably won't be playing it with her again, but I do hope I can find someone to play it with later on, because like I said, it feels so satisfying to call your shot, and get them. Sometimes you have to go head to head, and if that's the case, you have to look on the back numbers of the tanks to see who has the highest number to win. There are other ways to destroy tanks as well. You have a secret mine. You write down on a piece of paper what square it is, and if they land on that one square, it has to be on your side of the game board, then you blew up that tank too. You just reveal it. Lots of interesting strategy here. You have 3 different bases that can do different things in the game, and if you destroy your opponent's bases, it's going to hinder them in the game. Like I said, absolutely wonderful, very strategic. I know they reprinted it as Tank Command, and that looks a lot better, and it's probably a lot cheaper, so you should get that one. I have the 70s version, but the 80s version or 90s version, that's a much better game. I think it's basically the same game, but with better pieces. At number 89 is Shark Attack. Shark Attack, you are these fish, different colored fish, trying to move around from a slow, mechanized, battery-operated shark. I say slow, but after a while, especially with 4 players, that shark has already made it around the board, and you're like, oh my gosh, hurry, 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 get my color. You can only move your fish when your color is rolled. And it is a fun game. It is kind of lucky, roll and move, but there is an urgency, and you always scream because it's very menacing, that the jaws opening, palm, and then slamming down, gobbling your fish hole, and you go, no! It's a fun one. There are other games that may do that little mechanism better. They'll be higher on my list, but Shark Attack is a pretty fun one. At number 88 is the classic game chess. Oh yes, a gentleman's game is chess. I used to love chess. In fact, as a kid, if you would have asked me what my top 10 games were, chess would probably have been at the number 1 spot. And as the years go by, I haven't really played that much. I want to say I played it last year, maybe last holiday season with my nephew. We played a timed version of it, like you only had 30 minutes each to make your moves. I really liked that because I made a lot of stupid moves and he cleaned my clock, which, well, I say usually wouldn't happen, but he's probably pretty good. He's a pretty good player too, so I want to take that away from him. But I made a lot of stupid moves early on. I was like, man, I got too focused on the time there. But I love chess. I have a little chitsy plastic cheap little set I bought for like $1 at a flea market one time, and I bought it because it looks like the exact copy I had as a kid. I had a cheap little chitsy game that I just bring out and I'd play with whoever came over, and we had a fun time. I thought I used to be really good at chess, but that's because none of the kids in my neighborhood knew how to play it. And I won a lot. But then I actually got to play a chess player, and he actually taught me some moves, and I actually got pretty good and never lost until recently. I've had like a 2 back-to-back losing streak here. So, it's hurting my ego there. But like I said, if you don't play it, you lose the mastery of it. And it's a great strategic game. It's just a classic game. I still have a copy in my closet. It's not going to get played anytime soon. My wife's not going to play chess with me. I don't think any of my friends would either. But I still just love that game. I just absolutely love it. My number 87 is Bulldog Dozer. Bulldog Dozer just happens to be my little niece's favorite game right now. Whenever she comes over, that's the one she wants to play. She played with my wife. My wife actually, after they left, went, "Can we play that game one more time?" And we did. It's a fun little game. It's got a little battery-operated bulldog on a bulldozer, and you pick him up, he spins around, then you drop him on the board, and he moves in a certain direction. Whatever I-beams, there's these green plastic I-beams he pushes off, you add those to your tower. Even if he knocks over someone else's tower, ooh, that can usually generate you the win. As for adults, we make a rule, you have to close your eyes and drop it, because you can drop it strategically, right on, you can time it to where it will probably push over someone else's tower. And that's usually how it ends. If you can get someone's tower, and you have a few pieces, you've won the game, because the first one who can be in 3 tiers wins the game. You put like a little flag on top. My wife had a lot of fun with that game, and it is a fun game. It is a super fun game. But that Barricade Bob guy, you can spin and get him. Woo! That is the best spin you can get. You want Barricade Bob. It doesn't guarantee you a victory, but it guarantees no one's going to take down your tower. It's a fun little children's game, and I'm so glad she's picked this one over Little Mermaid. That's all I can say there. Great game. At number 86 is the game Polar Dare. And Polar Dare, you are trying to get your, I believe it's 4 penguins, across these floating icebergs and to the other side of the board. But you have to do that by avoiding a polar bear. This is a great, all these figures look great. The polar bear is this thick, big bear figure. If you roll the bear, you have to move the bear a few spaces. Well, this game sings at 4 players because there's a lot of strategy. You want to get your penguin on floating icebergs with other penguins, so that way they won't bring the bear on you, they'll put it on someone else. It's very strategic. If you all group your penguins on one iceberg, yeah, people are all coming after you. You have to split up and share icebergs. It's a really nice game. I have just enjoyed it. It is a simple game. It is a simple game, but it's all one piece. The board is. You don't have to fold it out. It just comes out as one big piece, and then it's ready to play. You know, give people their penguins and go. So for that reason, it's a fun game, which is why it's on my list. Number 85 is a sports game called Bas-Ket. I love Bas-Ket. It's basically basketball. You have this ping pong ball and these metal prongs, and they're shooting hoops. And basically you get to time what each half is we do it 5 minutes each. For 5 minutes you play on one side, then after 5 minutes you flip the board around and play from the other side. That way if there's certain prongs, and there are certain prongs that act differently and the springs work differently than the other ones, you got to time your shots again. It is a super fun game. It drops massively on my list this year because I didn't get to play it. And the reason I didn't get to play it was my girls lost the ping pong balls. The girls got into the vintage games, just the lower shelf games, and I was able to collect all the pieces. Didn't think I missed and I wasn't missing a single one, and then realized they had taken those ping pong balls and they are gone. Now the good news is they're just ping pong balls, right? I can easily get them replaced. I never did. I wish I had, because I wanted to play this game. And I have one nephew who, even though he hasn't played in years, this used to be his favorite game, and I was going to I had him over, which is why I found out I lost the ping pong balls, because I said, let's bring this in. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that game. And then I couldn't find the ping pong balls for it. I was like, no! So I didn't get to play it, so it drops a lot on the list, but it is just a fun game. I know they came with an electronic version that it keeps your score and makes crowd noises whenever you make a shot. That's really cool. I bought one for super cheap, and the daggum thing didn't work. So those things probably don't work as well. But they had their ping pong balls were painted like basketballs. That was really cool too. I saved those, but those are gone too because my girls took those somewhere. I don't know. But I need to buy some ping pong balls and play this game again. For basketball fans, it is my favorite basketball game. My favorite and only basketball game, Bas-Ket. Number 84 is the highest game on my list owned by my wife. It is the Dukes of Hazzard board game. This is a fun little board game. You're one of the 4 cars. Yes, the General Lee is one of them. I think you're Cooter's truck, Jesse's truck, and then Daisy's Jeep. And you're either going on the highway, which has less spaces, but those spaces can have areas that can hurt you or move you back, or you can take the dirt road. Dirt road's a longer path, but there are certain spaces on there that can propel you forward to move faster. They're all good stuff that happens on those spaces. So it's a risk reward. The thing is, if you are not hitting those exact spaces, then the freeway is the easiest way to go. My wife and I played. She took the freeway, I took the dirt road, and I got killed. I didn't land on a single helpful spot, and she didn't land on anything bad. Now, you do have these like little barricades you can play on players, basically just to skip their turn once, but that wasn't going to stop her. She won. She smoked me. The reason this game gets a lot of play is, one, my wife's a big Dukes of Hazzard fan, and secondly, she loves CSI. Now, the reason I'm putting these two together is because on an episode of CSI or NCIS, I can't remember what she was watching, one of those, crime shows, they were playing the actual vintage board game Dukes of Hazzard. She called me in the room. We were laughing because there's a whole scene where they're playing Dukes of Hazzard while they're trying to talk about some crime. She went, let's play it now. So they got her in the mood to play that Dukes of Hazzard game again. It's a nice little race car game. If you're a Dukes of Hazzard fan, this is a must. This is a must. It is a really fun game. And like I said, probably out of her collection, this is the highest on my list. My number 83 is Milton Bradley's Crash Canyon. It's one of those 3D boards that really just pop. Looks awesome. And basically you have these macro machines. You're just rolling dice and moving down the pathways. There is some skill involved as you're trying to lightly drop your car to move across the bridge. Man, it's really hard. But if you can get it, it is possible to shoot your car across that bridge without falling off one way or the other. If you do that, you feel like a champion. I like the catch-up mechanism. I know everyone hates this, but whoever's first place is going to hit a boulder. When you hit a boulder space, you have to stop. You remove that boulder, but you automatically stop. And there's a lot of boulders toward the end. Well, that's to make the race really fast. If you got a lot of lucky rolls or your car didn't flip over or fall anywhere, then you're going to be way ahead. We've had people that always, whoever's first place is way ahead, but they're not always going to get a chance to win because they do a lot of stops at the end hitting all these boulders while other people are able to catch up. And once that boulder's moved, it doesn't stop anyone else. So each game has been within 1 or 2 rolls away from a victory, and that makes it fun. So great game. Cost way too much. I can't suggest it because of the price, but it is a fun game. My number 82 is a card game I guess I just have to accept I'll never play again. It's Wildstorm Set 1. It's basically comic cards. They just slapped a little game last minute on there. It's basically a game of battle in a way, a little hybrid of battle. This is back when Magic cards had hit the scene and people were like, whoa, we need to make our cards a little bit more like Magic cards. But it was a stupid little game. But me and my friends played it all the time. We played it all the time. I know I've told this story a million times. I got that last promo card to complete my set to have this uber deck, and then that's when they moved on to play some other game. Well, I just recently, this past year, at a wedding, we all reunited. All of us, from different states around the nation came together, and we, as we were sitting there at the wedding reception, we were laughing and talking about that card game. They started it. I was like, yeah, I remember that card game. And we were like, man, we used to play that all the time here. And they remember that game? Yeah. And then we moved to this game and said, well, y'all moved to it. I didn't like it. I had the old game. Well, afterwards we went to a party, a little get together, because we just missed each other, and we went over to my brother's house and just started having fun. Well, I went home, changed, and I brought my deck. I brought the whole collection. I said, hey guys, look at our phone. And we were there looking at the cards going, whoa, no way. I said, yeah, I even have extras here, hey, and it was all planned. I was like, hey, let's, why don't we play a game for old time's sake? And they're like, yeah, no, we just kind of want to visit. No one wants to play that game. No one wants to play that game off of some image character cards from the 90s, And like I said, it still sits on my shelf. I still lovingly every once in a while pick through the cards, and I rue the day, when I couldn't play my master deck because no one would have been able to beat me in the game of battle with comic cards. So because of that, this game keeps moving down my list, but if I ever get to play it one day, it'll probably suck, but I still want to play it one day, so I'm holding out for that. And finally, at number 81 is the game Ready, Set, Spaghetti. This is a game where you have a little plastic bowl with a fork attached to it, and you drop all these strings of all your color on the board. You put these pegs that are different ingredients into spaghetti, like mushrooms and meatballs and cheese, mozzarella cheese and stuff like that, and then you roll this die. You remove one of the pegs that match the image of the die, and then hopefully it helps you string up more spaghetti onto your plate. But however, it may help someone else to get even more spaghetti. First person who gets all their spaghetti, their string on the plate, wins. really weird game, really fun game. Luke from Down from the Attic showed me this like last year, and I just fell in love with it. My wife got to play it this year, and she really enjoyed the game. The only thing that sucks, I have a weird either UK version or American version with UK parts, I don't know, but my game has three pegs, I think, that can't fit on the board. They're just too big. They're from a different version of the game. I want to get replacements, but I don't know what the size of those pegs are. And when I ask people, they don't know. They've never heard there were two different types of pegs for the game. So I don't know if it's my board game that's from the UK or another country, or those replacement pieces were, but they do not match up. So I'm always 3 pegs short, which kind of sucks in a way, but not that's totally needed. But yeah, I have enough pegs to play the game, but you're always like, oh, look at those 3 holes on the outer edges or wherever. But the game is fun, it's very simple, and it's definitely worth your time if you can find a copy. All right, folks, that is it for now. I will see you next time as we go over my top 80. See you later.